So right up front, I want to be fair to Pyokotan no Daimeiro. This is a game that was made for very young children. Basically, the target audience is 3 to 5 years old. So even more than a lot of these games, there's a real I'm not the audience for this situation. And in this case, I actually think it matters more than usual, because I think Pyokotan no Daimeiro is a pretty well put together package that didn't have a lot of enjoyment for me. Pyokotan is not the comic artist who is associated with a lot of retro game stuff. Though since he was born only a few weeks after the Pyokotan that this game is based on, he's just the right age to have maybe taken his nom de plume from the same character. This Pyokotan is a rabbit boy who's the star of a series of children's books. His thing is solving puzzles and mazes, so he was featured in a lot of game books in the late 70s and early 80s. Pyokotan no Daimeiro is an extremely rare game, and this is one of those instances where it's rare enough that prices are pretty high on it. It's another member of the 10,000 yen club, where a bear cartridge will probably cost you at least 10,000 yen. The plot of the game is that a goat, who I don't believe was in the original books, needs Pyokotan's help. There are some space invaders, and they have to get rid of them. There are 4 stages in Pyokotan no Daimeiro, and all of them work the same way. A bunch of obstacles are scattered throughout the stage, and as Pyokotan you can walk up to them and hit A to open them up. If there's an item inside, you can collect it. If there's a monster inside, then Pyokotan has to defeat it in a minigame. Your goal is to locate the key, and then get to the exit. The non-monster items that you can find are pretty straightforward. There's that key, bonus points, and a 1-up. There are 5 different monsters that you can come across, and each of those has their own minigame. As you progress in the game, the minigames become larger and more complex, but initially they're really slow and trivial to do. If you wish, you can choose to only play the minigames from the main menu. This slightly angry musical note will want you to play back its tune for it. This isn't Simon, it's not extending every time you get it right. He comes up with a new pattern every time. As you get further in the game, the number of notes in the sequence increase, as well as the number of times that you have to repeat the pattern. The lily pad game is probably the worst of them. You hit A to jump forward 1 lily pad, dodging enemies on the way. And you can hit up and down to switch which lane you're in, as long as it's open between them and doesn't have a fence. But some of the lanes are dead ends, and you can't go backwards, and you can't see the dead ends until you've started down those lanes. You're given a few chances to reach the end of the lily pad path before you lose a life. On later stages, the length of the lily pad path increases. In the apple drop game, apples regularly appear at the top of the tree, fall down, and Pyokotan has to deflect them with his umbrella into the bins. Missing an apple will make your meter drop on the left-hand side, as will bouncing one of the brown worms into a bin. Getting hit by the blue snake will stun you for a few seconds. Later stages increase the speed of this game, and how long you have to bounce apples before you're done. In the ball sorting game, colored balls enter the path at the top of the screen, and you hit left and right to adjust the switches on the paths. You have to get the balls to land in the same colored bin, and if you drop a ball into the wrong bin, then you lose 1 point on the bar. Later stages increase the difficulty on this by adding more colors, and making you sort the balls for longer. The final minigame that a monster will give you is the maze. Is it the Daimeiro of the title? Well, probably not, it's not that great. You're given a view of a path through an area, and you have to choose what direction Pyokotan will go for every step. You want him to step on clear tiles, and if you choose one that isn't clear, you'll get a monster face. Finding a carrot will show you the whole path again for a short time. Later stages for this one increase the size of the maze quite a bit. After you complete a stage, you'll go to one more bonus minigame, where aliens will swoop in and you'll throw baseballs at them. They have a few basic patterns, and sometimes a bonus flying saucer will appear that's worth a lot more. On the 4th and final stage, this immediately leads into the final boss, who is Satan. No, really, that's the character's name. And he just teleports around and doesn't really do a whole lot. Pound on him a bit, he'll explode, and you've won the game. In between stages, you're given a password, It feels kind of unnecessary for such a simple game, but there it is. So you can use it to start on stages 2, 3, or 4. There weren't a whole lot of comments I could find about Pyokotan no Daimeiro out there, though a few Japanese fans did note the lack of mazes. Take note, if your game has Daimeiro in the title, it better have some great mazes. My feeling is that the game is functional, but not much more than that. There isn't really any challenge in the minigames until you hit the 4th stage, and the timed minigames have a problem of both being trivial to do and going on way too long. I didn't find a whole lot engaging here. On the other hand, as I said at the outset, Pyokotan no Daimeiro is a game that's intended for 3 to 4 year olds. So maybe they'd like it better than I did.